This is a great request. The history of domestic cats, Felis catus, is one of the most complex and cross-cultural animal stories in human history, stretching across 12,000 years, from ancient agriculture to modern internet fame. It's not just a biological history, but a cultural, religious, and economic one. Cats have been gods, witches' familiars, pest controllers, fashion accessories, and beloved family members. Below is a long, chronological, richly detailed narrative tracing the full history of domestic cats as companions, workers, and symbols, from prehistory to today. Pre-domestication origins, ca. 12,000 to 10,000 BCE. Wild ancestors. All modern house cats descend from the Near Eastern wildcat, Felis sylvestris libica, native to North Africa and the Middle East. Genetic studies show all domestic cats today trace back to a single domestication event, or a few closely related ones, around 10,000 BCE in the Fertile Crescent, roughly modern-day Egypt, Israel, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. The agricultural revolution connection. As humans began cultivating grain, stored harvests attracted rodents. Wildcats were drawn to these food sources, effectively beginning a mutualistic relationship. Humans tolerated cats for pest control, and cats enjoyed easy hunting and safety. This is sometimes called a self-domestication process, since cats chose proximity to humans without forced breeding. Nap 2. Early agricultural civilizations, 9,000 to 3,000 BCE. Levant and Anatolia. Archaeological evidence from Çatalhöyük, Turkey, says 7,500 BCE, shows cats and humans coexisting peacefully. A grave in Cyprus, Ska, 7,500 BCE, contains a cat buried beside a human, the oldest known example of human-cat companionship. Behavioral adaptations. Over generations, tamer cats bred more successfully near humans. They evolved shorter flight distances, rounder faces, and friendlier temperaments, early steps toward domestication. 3. Ancient Egypt, the age of deification, 3000 to 30 BCE. Cats become sacred. Egypt elevated cats to divine status. The goddess Bastet, or Bast, originally a lioness goddess of protection and fertility, evolved into a domestic cat-headed deity symbolizing grace, motherhood, and home life. Cats protected grain stores and were revered for killing snakes and vermin. Cultural practices. Egyptians mummified cats, buried them in elaborate tombs, and even held state-sponsored cat cemeteries. Killing a cat, even accidentally, was punishable by death. Cats were often depicted sitting beneath women's chairs in art, a sign of domestic comfort and harmony. Export and trade. Cats spread through Phoenician and Egyptian trade networks to the Mediterranean, including Greece, Rome, and Persia. The Egyptian state banned times, though smugglers still transported them abroad. Classical world, ca. 1000 BCE to 500 CE. Greece and Rome. Greeks admired cats, but also prized weasels and ferrets as mousers. Romans, however, fully adopted cats for pest control on ships and farms. Cats became symbols of liberty in Roman culture, independent yet loyal. Cultural roles. In literature and art, cats began to appear as domestic but untamable, foreshadowing their later symbolism of mystery. Romans likely helped spread cats across Europe and the British Isles. Early medieval period, 500 to 1000 CE. Cats in early Christian Europe. Christianity inherited mixed feelings about cats. On one hand, practical animals for monastic granaries. On the other, associated with paganism and fertility goddesses. Cats often appeared in monastic manuscripts, both as illustrations and literal paw prints on vellum pages. Cats walked across drying ink. Islamic civilization. In contrast, the Islamic world revered cats. The Prophet Muhammad was said to love cats, and cats were allowed in mosques. Cats were associated with cleanliness and compassion. The streets of cities like Cairo and Damascus were full of protected, semi-domesticated cats. Spread across continents. Cats traveled along trade routes, from Arabia to India, China, and East Africa. They were valued in Buddhist temples in China and Japan for guarding manuscripts from rodents. Vikes. The High and Late Middle Ages, 1000 to 1500 CE, from sacred to sinister in Europe. By the 12th to 14th centuries, European superstition began to turn on cats. Black cats in particular were linked to witchcraft, the devil, and night creatures. During the Black Death, 1347 to 1351, cats were often killed en masse out of fear of demonic influence. Ironically, Killing cats may have worsened the plague by allowing rat populations to explode. Continued practical use. Despite fear, cats persisted as barn and ship companions. Sailors relied on them to keep grain stores rodent-free, which later spread cats globally during the Age of Exploration. Nahervecept. Renaissance to Enlightenment, 1500 to 1800 CE. Rehabilitation of the cat. As witch hunts faded, cats gradually regained acceptance. Artists and writers began portraying them as clever, curious, and sensual creatures. Leonardo da Vinci famously sketched cats obsessively. Montaigne and La Fontaine wrote affectionately about them. In France and the Netherlands, cats became favored pets among bourgeois families. Scientific and cultural attention. The Enlightenment brought classification. Carl Linnaeus, 1758, officially named the domestic cat Felis catus. Cats also became popular subjects of still life paintings and domestic scenes, symbols of cozy domesticity. 8. The Victorian Era and Industrial Age, 1800 to 1900. From Mauser to pet, the Industrial Revolution reduced the need for cats as pure pest control. Queen Victoria's fondness for cats helped shift public opinion. Cats became acceptable, even fashionable pets. Organized breeding began. The first cat show was held in London's Crystal Palace in 1871. Selective breeding produced recognizable breeds like the Persian and Siamese. Cats in literature and symbolism. Cats became literary icons. T.S. Eliot, Lewis Carroll, Edgar Allan Poe, and Charles Dickens used cats symbolically. Mysterious, independent, witty, the cat evolved into an emblem of middle-class domestic life. Graceful, contained, and respectable. Ix, the 20th century. Globalization and popular culture. Cats in modern life. By the early 1900s, cats were firmly household companions, aided by commercial cat food, 1908, sprats, veterinary care, indoor litter boxes, 1947, revolutionary for urban cat ownership. War and work. Cats continued serving aboard naval ships during both world wars. Famous wartime cats like Unsinkable Sam became mascots. Media and entertainment. The 20th century made cats media darlings. Felix the Cat, silent film era. Tom, of Tom and Jerry, 1940. Garfield, 1978. Countless animated and literary cats thereafter. Cats came to symbolize independence, sarcasm, and sophistication. X. The digital and modern era, 1990 present. Internet revolution. Cats became the mascots of internet culture. I Can Has Cheeseburger, 2007. Grumpy Cat, Nyan Cat, Keyboard Cat, viral icons. Their humor and expressiveness made them the face of online memes and digital community bonding. Modern cat culture. Global estimates suggest over 400 million domestic cats, making them the world's most popular pet. Cat cafes, adoption movements, and welfare campaigns reflect their modern status. Breeding has diversified into dozens of official breeds, Abyssinian, Maine Coon, Bengal, etc., but most cats remain mixed breed companions. Scientific understanding. Genetic studies, e.g. 2007, 2017, 2022, confirm minimal genetic divergence from wild cats, meaning cats are only partially domesticated compared to dogs. This explains their independence and hunting instincts even when raised entirely indoors. Summary timeline. Era, cat status, cultural role. 10,000 BCE. Wild predator. Begins self-domestication near farms. 3000 BCE. Sacred animal. Worshipped in Egypt. 1000 BCE to 500 CE. Pest controller. Spread via trade in Rome. 500 to 1500 CE. Mixed, revered and feared. Islamic veneration. European suspicion. 1500 to 1800 CE. Rehabilitation. Pets of scholars and aristocrats. 1800 to 1900 CE. Fashionable pet. Organized breeding. Literature. 1900 to 2000 CE. Common household companion. Global pet culture. 2000 present. Cultural icon. Internet celebrity. Scientific focus. In summary, the cat story is not one of human conquest, but of mutual adaptation. Unlike dogs, cats never fully surrendered their autonomy. They integrated on their own terms. From divine protector to feared familiar, from aristocratic pet to viral meme, cats have remained enigmatic mirrors of human society. Adored, misunderstood, and indispensable. Would you like me to create a cultural history of cats next? Focusing more on how art, religion, and superstition changed their symbolism across civilizations, Egyptian, medieval, modern? It pairs beautifully with this chronological version.